be a little bit obnoxious now. Like, a lot of people aren't used to how his stun works, and that can catch a few people off guard. But he's actually quite easy to play around when you have a super mobile Lucian against a Misfortune who has no innate dashes. You would naturally give the lane advantage over to the Lucian and the Braum. But the bot lane will be my target focus for this matchup today.
And we're going to have to see if there's bans brought out here in the bot lane, what they decide to do. But the Vigar is, of course, going to be the first ban. The Azir matching it now on the other side. So mid lane, once again, the focus here on patch 610.
This Kassadar is having a lot of Vigar bans. This is the second Vigar ban against him.
I mean...
It's sneaky.
I feel like it's a sign. Vigar's definitely stronger. If you haven't played against him, it's terrifying.
Don't want to get into him too much because we're not going to be seeing him.
Obviously.
But, he is a pretty snazzy pick. I definitely like him. Big fan of him. But he's going to be taken off the board as Alistar follows up alongside from low priority. I think Alistar not as strong as he used to be ever since the nerfs that came on 610 to his ultimate, where now the 50% damage reduction.
If you look at it like it's a 20% reduction from his ult, that's like, oh, 20%'s not bad. But if you look at it in terms of he used to take 30% damage and now he takes 50% damage, that's almost double the amount of relative damage taken, and it just doesn't seem nearly as potent. But with Alistar taken off the table, with Lucian and Kindred following as well, Nidalee, a lot of jungle focus, a lot of AD carry focus, the Rise is now left open for low priority and locked in. It's the first time, I think. Is this the first time we've seen Rise?
He's been pretty much banned every game. It's been Azir Rise have been the staple bans. Very risky from Trick to give that one away. They decided that the Lucian was a larger priority than... the thing for me is I feel like all these jungle bans aren't necessarily warranted. I feel like all the junglers are pretty evenly matched right now.
Oh my god. Someone must have found that offensive, but I enjoyed it immensely.
So the junglers, I feel like they're all pretty balanced right now. You have the Graves, you have the Kindred, you have the Nidalee, as well as the resurgence of Elise and Gragas. There's just plenty of options. You don't need to put that much focus on the jungle bans. So focus on these mid lanes.
Yeah, but you say that, but at the same time we saw Kindred just run through a team. I mean, obviously Lissandra was a pretty big factor too, but Kindred can still be pretty terrifying.
She can be a nuisance, but I think there are ways to play around her, like the Gragas. Remember, low priority against the Fnatic knocked him straight out of the out of that ultimate, and there are plenty of ways to deal with it. So looks like Tricked. Either way, they're going to prioritize a little bit into their bot lane. The Braum does seem to be something that we're seeing a lot more of recently.
Yeah, and additionally, we talked about jungle priority in bans, but not coming out in picks. We don't see anything coming out here on the side of Tricked. They are going to opt for that Echo, once again, most likely going into the top lane, as well as the Braum support here. So, you know, this is very similar picks to what we saw from them yesterday in the form of the Braum bottom lane, but, you know, not anything around the jungle yet.
I'm hoping that we do see Roa on the Echo in the top lane this time, because I do think that it is really a good pickup, or at least the Abyssal right now, because I do think it works very nicely. But it does depend on the matchup naturally as to who he's going against. I think he could get away with it with a Trundle, because a Trundle, very item reliant, takes a little while to ramp up. But we'll have to see moving forward. And I do quite like this initial pickup. Echo Braum, you can't really go wrong with that.
No, not at all. I mean, just strong picks overall, right? Regardless of what they go into, Echo has the mobility to get in and out in laning phase, and Braum, concussive blows, the shield, the unbreakable, pretty much everything you need in a support offers you that. But on the opposite side, low priority locking in their second rotation, now we see the jungle priority come out. It's going to be that Graves, and as well as the Trundle, which I feel like technically this could be the double flex pick with Rise going either mid or top and Trundle top or support.
I'd be surprised if Rise went into the top lane, but it is definitely an option. It could always work out. We did see Swain yesterday, so I don't want to...
don't want to shut it down.
Yeah, I don't want to shut it down.
We've seen crazier things,
we saw the Trundle support in the last game, so low priority. From what I've seen of them so far, they pick pretty standard stuff. But with the Graves as well, coming out from the jungle, they're going for a little bit more of a farm style of early game. They're not looking for any sort of early game plays. They're very item reliant, mostly around that 20-minute mark when they've got those two big items and say, okay, now we're good to go.
And farming overall may just be the name of the game, because we see the Ezreal has now been locked in by Tricked eSports right here. More than happy to have that one picked up for himself. But the Gragas also being picked up, this is something we've talked about, something you've talked about especially, that he's seeing a lot more priority now on 610.
Yeah, he certainly has. One thing I haven't been keeping track of that I'd like to moving forward is how he actually decides to itemize, whether or not he's going for the Runic Echoes or going for the Cinder Hulk, because I do think that with this double tank that we're now seeing, where you have the Braum and the Gragas, the Echo could afford to go pretty heavy on the AP, and I feel like against a Trundle in the top, that would be great, but against a Fiora, I'm not entirely sure, because Fiora... Actually, in the LCK, Fiora was the answer to Echo. I saw a couple times, Rox Tigers in particular, picking that Fiora into the Echo as a nice answer.
Well, and with the Black Cleaver cost reduction, I mean, maybe she's coming back,
Ghostblade.
Right?
Maybe Ghostblade Black Cleaver Fiora.
Everybody built Ghostblade Black Cleaver, right? So if you're not building Iceborne Gauntlet Sunfire Cape,
we've got another one just for you.
2 items, that's all you need. Let me tell you about it. But let's talk about the Sivir as well. It seems like Low Priority have put together a very strong composition based entirely around team fighting, with with the power of Ryze and Fiora and Graves all sped up by the Sivir on the opposite side. So much disengage though for Trick.
So yeah, from Low Priority, I'm seeing a lot of we need items before we do anything. The Sivir is there to act as a bit of extra wave clear because they are lacking a bit of that. And Ryze, not bad wave clear obviously, but he relies on his ult to get that out there. So it helps to deal with the potential siege coming out from Tricks, but very much they're relying on a couple skirmishes in the early game. The Fiora and Graves can have pretty good trade potential, and we are potentially going to be seeing a lane swap just to, oh wait, no, you do have the Ezreal into the Sivir. That should be alright. That should be a fine matchup. We should, standard lanes is something that we should see. I thought that was a Lucian initially, but then I just remembered that the Lucian was banned.
No,
so.
you're too busy looking at the big picture.
One.
You need to look at the little icon.
The little one,
icon.
right, the little
and of course,
one.
like, I'm pointing on the screen and it's the wrong side for you guys, so bear with me. I apologize. It's all mirrored.
But Trick, their composition, very much more about the team fighting. They have the zone control from the Lissandra. You have so much split up with the Gragas, and if there's a situation that they don't like, a huge amount of disengage as well. The Braum, the Gragas, the Lissandra, the Ezreal super mobile, Echo super mobile, they can just be like, we're going to pick the fights. If we don't like them, we're going to go.
Yeah, and I think that's a great option to have. Of course, a lot of pressure on them, though. If you mess up that cask, if you mess up that Braum ultimate, it's pretty easy for a Sivir team, essentially, to just pile onto you, get everybody into that team fight instantly. So potentially a more difficult comp to execute, but I think maybe even stronger as they move further in the game.
Well, Tricked, they have a lot to prove in this game, because yesterday the Vladimir didn't work out. I was a little bit disappointed with their performance because I did actually cast them during Ragnarok and they were really strong at the time. They clean sweep that tournament. They looked really dominant. And now coming in, they felt like that they had a strong team coming in. They felt like they had a good chance. I know the coach personally, and former teammate of mine, in fact, and he was feeling really confident about this lineup. So coming into day 2, they're going up against another one of the favorites in Group A, which is Low Priority, and I feel like this will be a really good test to see how much they stack up against the other teams.
And this we haven't seen as many games that have been very evenly matched, right? We always see these calm early games, and I feel like it doesn't always transition into like even win conditions. Like someone always gets a massive lead, whether it's in lane farm or taking the Rift Herald.
Did you watch the 60-minute game yesterday?
Yeah, well, okay, the 60.
That was an anomaly. We take that out.
It's just sample size is too small for you to make conclusions. It's the perfect size for me to make conclusions, but it's not good enough for you to contribute. Okay, but I mean, I think we've seen a lot of games snowball out of control from lane CS advantages or like single poor decisions, or in some cases even the Rift Herald, right? Rift Herald has just been so game-changing for top lane, and I'm wondering if once these guys get to the team fighting stage, if someone doesn't have a major lead, who can actually execute better in these team fights?
Yeah, that was something that we saw from Fnatic earlier on, where they took some advantages, they never turned it into anything. They didn't really get a dragon, they didn't really get a turret, whereas Misfits were all about getting objectives after winning a fight. So that will be the thing that I keep my eyes on. A Low Priority for me have demonstrated that they can do it based on all the games that we've seen, and having taken down Fnatic Academy yesterday, I feel like they are the heavy favorites coming into this matchup.
Definitely, and I think Low Priority have just proven that they know exactly what they want to do in each of these games. And Memento, remember, he was the only member on the team that were like, we're not sure what this guy does. And then he came in yesterday with such a hugely dominant performance. And now it looks like Low Priority, if they're trying to take control of this game very early on, it looks like they're poised to set up this lane swap. There is some vision in that river, however, and they are going to get spotted out.
All right, so Low Priority did decide that they want to go for the lane swap. They want to avoid the 2 vs 2 matchup. They want to avoid the 1v1 as well, as they're going to be moving now in towards the red jungle, because this is now the strong side of the map for Low Priority, and as long as Low Priority can guarantee that they can get this red, it looks like the Low Priority are going to be able to get themselves a 3-buff start, which is a great way to kick off the momentum at the very start of the game.
Definitely pretty powerful, especially on this patch, of course. A little bit harder to shift up that jungle XP, but would be nice to have the 3 buffs to balance things out at least a little bit. Now pushing forward, it looks like in these non-standard lanes, we may have a kind of accelerated game. You know, this is something we see. If the towers start to drop early, the game tempo tends to just speed up.
Yeah, so things right now. It looks like TRC a little bit behind in terms of the experience. They're going to continue their double jungling. And now this is quite interesting because yesterday what we actually saw was they shared a little bit of experience so that the top laner got at least a portion, and then they sent their top laner down to the tower as quickly as possible because they wanted him to get as much farm as he could, get as much experience as he could, so they can start that shove. And you can see that coming out from Kex right now. He has just joined his team at level 1. He wants to make sure that he is still relatively useful moving forward into the game. And so they're going to get the early hits onto the turret, and so they are going to have that tempo advantage.
Yeah, and Echo not getting any experience whatsoever from this double jungle. Not the place that he wants to be, but Tricked are now set up to take down this bottom lane tower. Gragas will be there shortly as well, so maybe not adjusting too well to the double jungle here, not getting anything in the end.
Yeah, this is something that, for those unaware, on patch 6.9, the changes to experience in the jungle mean that double jungling is not as effective as it used to be. The partner does lose a fair amount of experience. Oh, the level up from Zaidan.
What?
Yeah, calculated. That was all fine. They planned that. But yeah, because you get less experience, now it's better to just send your top laner up to the lane as quickly as possible. A low priority taking advantage of the fact that they kind of better prepared for the lane swap compared to Tricked, but fortunately Tricked were able to respond. They are going to be able to get this turret down at the same time. So now this is where the decision comes in. What you do is you throw a deep ward down. You want to identify who's going to be returning to your lane, whether it be the top or the bottom lane. If it is the bottom lane, you want to get a siege on as much as possible so that you can get as much farm because you know that wave is going to get shoved under the turret.
And this is actually pretty massive. I'm going to interrupt you for just a second. I mean, we're talking so much about lane swap dynamics from a previous meta that we're forgetting about the importance that could be placed on Dragon. And Dragon, you used to be able to trade for this Rift Herald, but now Tricked just immediately picking up that Infernal Drake.
Yeah, very valid point. This is the thing, so you're keeping, when your bottom lane is in the bottom half of the map, that does mean that you are on the side of the Dragon, which means that you can pick that one up relatively early. Use 4-man, and now low priority are going to realize that this has happened, so they are going to set up the shove as much as possible so that Fiora is going to get more farm, more experience up in the top lane, and then that's going to work out very nicely for the Fiora. So meanwhile in the bottom, they're going to get their shove on, and they're going to likely take down this tier 1 turret in the bottom lane much sooner than Tricked are.
Yep, it's everything that they need. We've seen how big these small tempo advantages can be, especially in these non-standard lanes. But looks like Kex may have overstayed his welcome. There's 2 behind him. He sees Ezreal moving forward. Now finally sees Fin moving in. Time Winder, Exhaust. Fiora is going to try to use the parry. Flash out. Trying to make it to safety. No dive coming in. Good escape coming in from Fiora.
So 3 members investing into that gank onto Kex, but he overstayed a little bit too much there. Teleport going to come in from him to help set up the siege onto this tier 1 turret in the bottom because there's no reason for him to hang around in the top half of the map. Tricked are 3 members strong. They're going to look to do the same as low priority, but they are a little bit behind on the play after going for that Drake. So they are going to be a little bit behind us.
They're very behind.
Yeah, they could look to set up on the siege on the tier 2 right now.
They're 20 to 30 seconds behind. They may look to take a tier 2 on the bottom side of the map, and as great as new dragons are, the 8% AD and AP buff, I don't think it's as good as the extra tower.
Yeah, the amount of control that you're going to have over the map is fantastic, as well as the global gold that you're going to get off the back of that. You can already see low priority sitting on a healthy gold advantage, and that's just going to extend if they get this tier 2 turret in the top. Well, they might not even get the tier 1 in the top lane.
I think they're going to have to back off. They do have the extra wave. No TPs coming in, but Memento's trying his best to bully them off. Gragas, they are here. They will stop that tier 2 from going down, so good movement from Tricked, but it's slow going, on the top side of the map to try to burn down the tier 1.
Wow, so it does look like that with Tricked responding, sending 2 members down to the turret in the bottom lane. They are going to resist the push coming out from low priority. But have a look at this. Something that I've just realized. Ooh, hang on. Down in the bottom lane. A bit of action kicking off.
TP going in. They may be looking for the fight. Lissandra there as well. Or not. Just going to cancel out. They're hungry for blood, but they're not going to commit quite yet.
Yeah, a little bit of an overextension coming out from low priority. Trick try to capitalize on it using the teleport from Castadar. But speaking of teleports, Sevex doesn't actually have one on Rise. A little bit unconventional. Decided to go for the cleanse, do the heavy crowd control that is available on the Lissandra. So he is going to have that in that particular matchup. Kex, meanwhile, up in the top lane, trying to stop the back of Fin, as he has decided to go for the Tiamat. So no early Black Cleaver, as we might have suspected, which is a little bit sad, but nevertheless, still a very strong item on top of the Fiora.
Of course, and does have the passive AoE at every stage of Tiamat, not just the final form now, not just the active either, so pretty strong. No longer could swap them back and forth, though. Sad life. But it looks like low priority now shifting their attention to the top side of the map. Sivir helping Fiora clear out these waves. maybe they're looking to take this Rift Herald. It was pretty huge in their win yesterday. And they're very familiar with how powerful it can be.
So, game 1 of the day, Misfits versus Fnatic Academy. They actually put no priority onto this Rift Herald. But Misfits versus Fnatic Academy. Low priority now in game 2, actually putting a lot of value on it. If they take it around 8 minutes, that's going to last them up until the 28-minute mark, which is phenomenal. As Kassadar, he wants to try and stop this.
Echo coming in. Can he get the stun? Oh my god, the lockdown from Rise is too much. Trying to snare him out. Does have to ult himself in low priority. Not only are they going to get the Rift Herald, but they may grab a couple kills as well. First Blood drops for Trundle. Rift Herald drops for low priority. That's it.
Tricked, a little bit indecisive there. Only Kassadar to fend off 5 members of low priority from the Rift Herald. Definitely not what they wanted right there. As Sevex actually ended up getting collapsed upon in the middle lane. Noticed that the exhaust was used by Fiddle. Sevex forced to burn both of his summoner spells, which could hurt him as the laning phase progresses. But overall, low priority are going to be pretty happy picking up that objective.
Matching Tricked Gaming in global objectives as Rift Herald has now been traded in the long run for Dragon. And we have to look. Fiora picking that up. We're going to see exactly how this unfolded here in this fight.
So have a look at this. Kassadar feels like they can go for the play because Finfin is on the backside, but Finfin doesn't really prioritize a target. He's still deciding who to go for, and while that's all happening, Sevex is just collapsing down onto Kassadar. He's forced to use the ultimate very early on, and once that's gone, there's no way he's going to be able to get out of that one. So Kassadar kind of left out to dry right there, and a little bit unfortunate for them as First Blood going over to low priority.
Not at all what they wanted from that exchange, and we've seen how quickly these leads can snowball out of control, but it's only 1K at this stage of the game, and Tricked not going to give it up quite so easily. Maybe hoping to make some moves back as they start to siege out here in the middle lane.
Have a look at this though. Broxah being quite aggressive towards the top half of low priority's jungle as the siege continues out from Tricked. Ooh, Zaitan, he's going to go for it.
Forward is going to have the extra snares, is waiting to burn them. Kassadar potentially in trouble. He has overextended, instantly burned down. Overstaying their welcome in the mid lane. Gragas going to grab a blue buff, but at what cost?
Wow. So Tricked tried to continue on the siege. Zaitan setting up a phenomenal pillar, knowing that Kassadar had no ultimate available. He didn't have the claw because Kassadar had just used it for wave clear as Broxah. Now going to walk by Kex as they just tip their hats to one another and say good day. Pass on by. But yes, Kassadar had no flash, had no ultimate, caught completely out of position as low priority extend their kill lead.
Yeah, now looking to take up a tower on the bottom side as well. I feel like low priority are everywhere on this map, and Tricked are just consistently on the back foot. They don't have members anywhere where they're needed. Broxah are still trying to play around in the jungle, but towers are dropping and the gold lead is growing. 3K just about for low priority. Broxah are going to grab another blue buff, but losing objectives all across the map.
He needs that mana as Memento forced to flash.
Moving forward, collateral damage going to come out. They may be looking for the fight. On the Hunt is burned as well. Memento suddenly locked in. Frozen Claw comes in. Don't think they can save the Graves. Memento's going to drop, but the TP flank, it is on the backside. Fiora over the wall. Rey all alone, but Braum is there. He's ready. Stand behind me, he says, but unfortunately there's a Fiora there too. Comes out. One going to drop. The heal comes down from the Grand Duel. Moving forward. Can they get 2 more? It looks like it. This is just going to be a cleanup from low priority. Wow. They are absolutely crushing this game. That's the 3-for-1.
Now Hiku in a 1 versus 1 against Kassadar. He's going to be forced to disengage, but the collapse is coming out from Trick. LP.
Lissandra on the wrong side of the map, and an Infernal Drake. We talked about the power for Tricked earlier, but now it's going over to low priority as well, and 5-1 the score, 3K gold lead. They've got everything. Ezreal, though.
He might be able to steal this.
One shot. Oh my gosh.
Close. That
Not
was,
quite.
in fairness, close. But low priority able to come out with a 3-for-1 over on that exchange. Now have a look at this. A lot of resources once again invested into Memento. They want to try and get this kill. Tricked not respecting the positioning of low priority. Teleport coming in from behind. A lot of ultimates used from Tricked, and now they're 3 members stacked up against a 3-pronged attack from low priority. The first target is going to be Reggie. Sevex sitting cleanly on the backline with Kex on the front, quickly able to pick that one up, and then Kex just goes to the cleanup. Really nice pillar from Zaitan to prevent any kind of disengage. Exactly where you want it, and low priority going to get those easy 3 kills in what was pretty much flawless execution.
Yeah, I think huge mistakes coming in from Tricked to pick that fight, to burn those cooldowns, but low priority are there, and they make it happen. 3K gold lead, only 12 minutes in. Low priority, I mean, looking like an incredibly strong team at this stage of the game, and Tricked really putting themselves in a bad position already.
So remember what we talked about in Champions, like low priority. They didn't want a duel heavy early game. They might look for a couple skirmishes here and there, but they rely on these items to really have an impact. They need that 20-minute mark where Ryze has got both his tier fully stacked and the Rod of Ages fully stacked. Fiora has got her Tiamat, and potentially go for the Black Cleaver second wouldn't make it wouldn't be that absurd, given that she used to build that anyway. Now a little bit more cost efficient. Same for the Civ. She really needs that Essence Reaver as well as her Zeal item, and so given that they've gotten such a massive advantage this early on, things are only looking up for low priority, and they're going to hit their spikes way earlier than they should.
Yeah, absolutely, and you can see how much pressure they're putting down on this map. Ryze and Fiora free to farm up the side lanes, while the remaining 3 members are just forming this pushing core. Trundle, Graves, and Civ are so terrifying to fight against. A single pillar, a single misstep, and those guys have enough burst to burn you down.
They certainly do, and Finfin right now really struggling in this matchup. Kex is level 9 to level 7. 85 CS to the 64 of Finfin. He's just sitting in the bottom lane, trying to soak up as much farming experience as he can, but he hasn't even completed an item yet. He is really having a rough game on this Echo, and to be honest, that seems to be the story of Echo. Maybe that's why the priority has shifted, because right now Echo is not performing like we expect.
Not at all, and despite, you can see all of the great vision laid down here on the side of Trick, but they really can't do anything with it. It's just being effortlessly cleared out, and Rockstar standing on a ward. They know that Gragas is moving in, and with the new changes in 6-9, they can see that that red is coming up soon, and if they can fight for it if they want to.
Kex.
Oh my gosh.
Going for a bit of damage.
Remember, she does have the Glimpse of the Void buff. So
oh yeah.
Near impossible for Echo to duel her at this stage of the game, especially with that Ravenous Hydra coming out now too.
5% damage reduction. You also stack up Glimpses of the Void to do a bit of bonus damage once you hit 100 stacks. But those effects only come into effect once you are by your lonesome. So Fiora, being the grand duelist that she is, likes to be by herself anyway, likes to demonstrate her stuff up in the solo lane, and really strutting her stuff in the bottom lane, showing why that Fiora is so powerful into this Echo.
Overall, I mean, completely dominating the matchup, and you can see Broxar trying to clear out some of this vision, maybe trying to threaten a little bit here on the bottom side, because Kex, he just looks comfortable in this game. Even when he had people ganking him in the early stage, he managed to get out with a quick flash, and now at this point, looks like he may even move in to try to steal this Gromp, or no, he just wait. Playing patient, waiting for the wave to get to him and the rest of the team, just content to farm up. They know they have the lead, and as you said, they can just wait for those 2 items.
Yeah, and this is it for Trick. They need to. They've been trying to force things, but they also take a little while to ramp up. But they have a little bit of a stronger spike with the level 1. I mean, you have to the level 1, the first item is what I meant. Kassadar, once he's completed that, a surprised. Okay, I'm a little bit surprised by the Rod of Ages. Don't know if that was the best pickup. I do feel like the Abyssal into the Zhonya's is the strongest thing to go for, like we saw from Selfie earlier on in the day. Because it gives you that cooldown reduction, because it just gives you raw stats to makes you a little bit tankier, it gives you plenty of ability power to be effective, and it just allows you to spam as much utility in these team fights as you want. By going for the Rod of Ages, it means that you're going for that ramp-up style of game. You're going for the, hey, I want to take my time to scale up. And against the Ryze, is that really what you want?
Maybe not, but at this point they are behind, maybe trying to buy a little bit more into the late game. They have the Ezreal, they have that tier.
Wait till late game, guys. We got this at late game. Whoa!
Hey. Oh no. This isn't what you want. Lissandra biting off more than she can chew. Gonna get 100-0'd. One set of combos from Ryze coming in, more than enough to grab that. What ridiculous damage.
So that's a Ryze, and that's why he's been banned quite a lot throughout this tournament. He's got the Rod of Ages completed, but now Kex trying to do the same thing as Sebex.
I gotta say, Finfin actually doing really well in these duels, but the sustain coming in from that Ravenous Hydra is gonna make it incredibly difficult to fight, but the Sheen making those trades just a little bit better.
Yeah, it really is helping him out in the 1 versus 1, but not against the lifesteal of Kex.
Oh my gosh, moving forward, Chrono Shift gonna come out, rather Chrono Break, moving forward, 1 stack, 2 stacks, no stun gonna drop, getting the healing field and making it out from under the tower. Kex is a split-pushing monster.
We discussed about how low priority like to take strong laners. Well, now they've got to a point where they're pretty much unkillable. Kex now with the fancy footwork.
Broxar not even going to find the stun, moving forward, continuing to do more damage. Gragas puts his back to the wall, doesn't want that Vitality procced. Moving forward. That Vitality, that Vital. The LCS team is not in Gragas' back, believe it or
not. Right now, Sebex actually able to take a turret up in the top lane, and Trick looked lost, to be honest. They had a really rough early game, lost a really big team fight around the Dragon, investing so many resources into trying to kill Memento, and because of that, falling behind that far, that early on against a composition that scales so beautifully. Tricked are just really struggling to find an answer right now.
And it just feels like the game is so explosive on this patch. You know, you get that Rift Herald off of one good fight or one good map decision. You get one good fight, one good dragon. That's all it can take to change the game in your favor. And once you have the lead, it's so hard for the enemy team to take it back, because you can see this gold lead just continues to grow for low priority.
Would you say it was one stop, one opportunity?
Oh
is
my
all
God.
that they're looking
for?
No.
You resist. Listen, if we all rap on air, it's going to ruin it for Crepo, and he won't have fun anymore.
Well, the dragon is going to be spawning now, and that's going to be low priority's priority, as they're going to be looking to pick up that extra bit of true damage on those epic monsters and turrets, and that's just going to make everything worse for Tricked eSports. The looks like the Cloud Drake is going to be next on the menu. Seeing quite a variation. To be honest, in my experiences, the Infernal Drake seems to be the rarest of the creatures. I've only ever seen 2 in a single game. And that was scary. When the enemy team got both, it is an insane amount of damage.
Though. We've already seen 2 in this game. If we see a third, will this be a
we have seen 2 Infernal Drakes.
Is this going to be a special
yes.
moment for you?
It will be a special moment, because 3 Infernal Drakes is a little bit terrifying. Obviously, both teams do hold possession over 1 Infernal Drake, so they do have that additional 8%, and that stacks up to 3 times to 24% extra damage.
I gotta say, it's a little bit scarier when you have extra AD and AP, when you have the team where literally everyone builds AD and AP, unlike the opposite side where you've got kind of a tankier Gragas jungle, a tankier Echo top. Not gonna get quite as much from that scaling benefit.
That's actually a really good point, because if we just look at Tricked, they have not built heavy damage, right? When you go for the Rod of Ages, that's not really saying, hey, I want a 100 to 0 you, as HQ takes a lot of damage.
Hio actually going to get burned out there. Good little duel there, but what is it going to cost them? Exhaust moving forward. Reggie already tried to escape, is going to use that Arcane Shift. Disengage comes in. TP on the backside. HQ, has he overstayed his welcome? But Memento burning through Fiddle's health bar. Fin looking to go in. They're going to take down the Trundle. Tricked finally making some moves to get back in the game.
So Tricked, very aggressive with Reggie to get the heal out of HQ, but because he overextends, low priority see this as an opportunity to turn around the fight. But while all this is going on, Kex is just sitting in the bottom lane, Sebek sitting in the top lane, and low priority are taking everything from Trick's base.
And Cassador's just sitting in the middle. He doesn't even feel confident enough to stop these terrifying split pushers. Kex, yeah, he might give up his life here, but he may just grab the inhibitor. Now trying to make it to safety.
Nice.
Great riposte there. Moving forward, dueling 2 members at the same time. Moving back, trying to proc that last fight.
No.
Does have the healing field. Moving forward, Broxar may go down, jumping into the own healing field. Beryl comes in as well. Echo moving forward. She's at that low health point. One more stack of Z-Drive Residents. Not going to find it quite yet. Moving forward.
Oh!
Fin, is he going to go? Oh my gosh. Chrono Break coming in. Memento's there as well. Fiora, unstoppable. The stacks fall off just in time. But Rhea is finally here. They will, in the end, grab the double kill. But what beautiful Fiora play.
Wow. Kex surviving until 4 members come and take him down. Low priority. They're going to be able to pick up this mid-tier 1 turret finally after all of the struggles that Kex had to go through. Memento tried to back out his top lane. I actually think that was a bit of a mistake. He should have stayed with the rest of his team, try to draw pressure, but they're going to lose 2 members. Low priority going to pick up the tier 3 turret in the bottom lane, the tier 1 turret in the mid lane, and they're going to get a bit of cheeky damage down up in the tier 3 top as well. So all across the map, low priority are coming out ahead.
And it's really, just at the end of the day, Trick making good moves to come back, but they are getting outplayed, and the gold advantage is just too great. You can see Rise already completing 2 items, already stacking up that Seraph Embrace, and that's a huge breakpoint. This is something you've brought up repeatedly. 2 items. This is the stage where low priority are strongest.
Yeah, 20-minute mark is where they become terrifying. Now let's have a look at Kex with this guy teaching you how to salsa, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this. Step to the left, step to the right. That's all it takes to do it. Kex just dancing around the entire lineup of Tricked.
Look at this.
Really nice disengage from Broxer to keep him out of the healing area to keep Kex, because if Kex got that sort of revival, he may very well have actually been able to win the fight. Oh, Memento actually picks up the kill, so
it's actually the 2 for 1.
Yeah, 2 for 1 overall. Didn't quite notice that in the initial play, but it did also bring Reggie up there as well, as we actually head back into the action, and already low priority continuing their aggression.
Yeah, now moving forward, low priority. You can hear on the hunt burn. Fiddle, that's not the pit you want to be in, my friend, and you may be jumping over the wall, but there's a Trundle there as well. Graves hops over, lots of damage, end of the line, and it may be just that for Tricked. Starting to shift forward. They will, in the end, get the disengage, but those are some blinking health bars, and that may be the Baron for low priority.
It could very well be. They're in a fantastic position to do it.
Gosh.
EQ
Jay trying to make it happen. Ezreal, oh, he gets it. EQ drops. Now they're hungry for blood. No fear left. And Trick, they're moving forward. Memento wants a kill, but he's not going to get it. A double. Reye making the play. But oh my gosh, Fiora going again. You said it, the salsa. She wants to make some moves. She has the riposte, but can she block out the most important cooldown? Moving forward, Lissandra is going to find the snare. Trying to find a way in, jumping forward to Echo, trying not to get stunned out here. One going down, not going to parry it. She's still alive, looking for the last vital, not going to get it. And at the end of the day, Trick definitely come out on top.
Holding on to the riposte for such a long time, wanting to try and avoid that Lissandra ultimate because Kex knew that that would be his death if he gave that one away. So unfortunately he held on to it for too long, wasn't able to pick up the inhibitor, gave away another kill over to Trick, who ended up picking 3 kills after that exchange. Hiku caught a little bit out of position, wasn't respecting the damage of Reye, who throughout this game has just been silently farming. He's now completed his 2 major items. He's level 12 to the level 10 of Hiku, and he could actually be the rising star that Trick needs to turn this game around.
Definitely performing admirably. 5-1 his scoreline, solo kills in so many cases. Just hopping into these team fights, doing the necessary damage, finding the flanks, and moving forward in this game.
So back during Ragnarok, when I was talking to their coach about their style of play, he told me that you need to keep your eyes on Reye, because sometimes he was saying that we've been in this situation where we get pushed back like 10k gold. Reye, all of a sudden, comes out of nowhere, aces the fight by himself because of how mechanically gifted he is, and that's why we love to play around our bottom lane. We love to get them as far ahead as possible, and if you just have a look at the lineup, 5-1-0 onto Reye right now, and he could be the guy that actually brings Trick back into it.
Well, they are approaching a massive deficit. It's not quite 10k, but he's going to need to do some fancy footwork, going to need to make some plays if he wants to bring his team back into it, because low priority, yes, they're struggling to break the base, but they still have a massive lead at their disposal. They're starting to group up, maybe looking to push out here a little bit more, maybe looking to bring the team together. Split push not quite working out despite all of Kex's pretty fantastic mechanical moves.
Yeah, it does seem that way. Kex, I do think he needs to put a little bit more value on a Quicksilver Slash. It was changed in this patch, but it still has value as On the Hunt does get popped.
Going forward, Rise the flash in, the snare, chaining them together, locking down Fiddle. He is going to get the disengage. Is he going to make it out with his life? No way! Collateral damage, shutting down any hopes and dreams there. And meanwhile, in the bottom lane, the Fiora's hungry for more blood. Not going to make the dash over Finfin. Ooh, breathe a sigh of relief as the rest of low priority now start to push in on this tower. Reye, you said the 5v1. This is his opportunity. Low priority just going to back off.
It does seem like low priority going to be happy with the objective. Extend the gold lead a little bit. Zaitan takes a lot of damage.
Locket burned out there, respecting Cassidar's potential to go in at any moment. Low priority now posturing around the Baron, just clearing out a bit of vision here. Both these teams, we got this duel on the bottom side, and the rest of the team are just looking to fight constantly, although now it's the 2v1.
That's pretty much been the story for Kex, let's be real. He still has Glimpse of the Void available to him. That's not going to run out until the 28-minute mark.
Oh, moving forward, the flash in. Snare onto 3. She's going to ult herself. Reye is there. Zaitan, he's getting burned down. Reye is getting the kill. Can he carry this fight out? But Cassadar, has he given his life, isn't going to have to back off here. A beautiful engage. Reye with the follow-up as well, evening out. Now the man advantage. Kex, though, just going up to top lane to push. No one going to push for anything greater here.
Trick's demonstrating that they do still have what it takes to come out ahead in these team fights. Reggie doing a lot of damage in the backside, but Cassadar the one making the plays right there. Going for the flash engagement, getting the multi-man binding into the Frozen Tomb was exactly what they needed to turn that one around.
Yep, really allowing the Ezreal to shine in that fight, just coming in on all those CC'd mid-health bar members and burning through the rest, as they're now going to pick up this Cloud Drake. It's 2-2 in the Dragons. Cloud Infernal versus Mountain Infernal on the side of low priority. And it's Reye continuing to just farm up, getting ready for this next fight.
Can I just add, that icon does not look like a cloud. It looks like a leaf to me. That's what keeps throwing me off.
It's a wing. It's like a wing. Like fly.
It's a wing!
Like clouds.
That makes so much more sense. Right. This is why you're here. You're the guy.
One doesn't look like a mountain at all, though. I don't know why you're trying to...
it looks like a rock. It looks like a rock, so I think, rocks, they make up mountains.
Do you know that rocks come in a lot of different shapes and sizes? And that despite the fact that they're probably not...
If I'm being honest, every time I think of a rock, the first thing that comes to mind is Geodude. That is the instant thing that comes to my mind whenever someone says rock.
I think, the most definitive rock. Okay, that one is actually fire.
That's fire.
Good job. Clearly that one is fire. Shiny and red. Even if it wasn't shiny and red, I feel like we could guess. If we had to guess which of a potential of 4 elements it could be, we would guess
And the ocean one is a tidal wave, so I learned that one yesterday with Pulse. So learned to identify which one was the ocean drake. But as we've identified, this will actually be the 3rd Infernal Drake of the game, which is actually pretty cool. Which was, I already talked about, I haven't seen 3 Infernal Drakes in a game before, and so if they pick that one up, that is going to be 16% additional damage off the back of it. So, Kex in the bottom lane.
Actually dishing out a lot of damage here. Cassadar, is he just going to go down? Kex,
yes.
That's a great 1v1 for him. Glimpse of the Void. I don't even think it was necessary. Just rips through Lissandra's health bar. They're not done yet. Fiddle moving in. This could be the fight that decides the game. On the hunt, burned out. Subjugate used Fiddle, running for his life. Rehe trying to slow down the members, but it's not enough. To disengage the Boomerang Blade. Heq grabbing another kill. Low priority now setting their sights on the mid lane, but Kex is still pushing on the bottom side. 8k gold. The inhibitor going to fall. Low priority taking control.
Wow, low priority. All they needed was Kex to come into his own, do what he has been doing all game. For some reason, Trick send Cassadar to go and deal with him, end up paying for it, but Reggie, he's going to try and turn this one around.
Oh my gosh, Rehe blown up in an instant though, and suddenly they're just descending upon the base. Sevex, he's forced back by the cask, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Another tower is going to fall. Another inhibitor next on the menu. Finfin, he's throwing in the stun. The team is ready. Cassadar moving forward, ready to move into this fight. But low priority just backing off. That's the 10k gold lead you're talking about. And Rehe, when it came down to it, just got crushed in that exchange.
He certainly did. It was all down to the exhaust coming out from Zaitan. Just as Rehe was coming into the fight, all of his damage disappeared. He used his actual disengage to engage, and that ended up costing him his life in the end there. So low priority regaining control over the game. Things are looking a little bit dicey for them, but thanks to Kex up in the bottom lane, taking out Cassadar, taking out the major team fighter from Trick, that just gave everything low priority needed to go and just force the fight that they wanted.
Absolutely crazy, because now we're at the point with those 2 inhibitors open where any fight can end the game in favor for low priority. If enough members drop on the side of Trick, they're just going to lose out here, and that's so much pressure on this lineup. You know, Rehe, you said he's used to it. He wants to, he's ready to turn this game around. He's ready to carry, but it's not just on him. He's not enough anymore. The lead is so great, and the pressure is so great that they really have to respect this. And they're not going to quite get caught out there, but you can see how tense these moments are.
Certainly are. Low priority playing a lot around the Baron right now, as the bottom lane turret or inhibitor is still pushing with super minions. Memento coming in from the flank.
Oh my gosh, moving forward, 3 stacks going down. Memento gonna get stunned up. Here comes Cassadar into the middle of the team, is gonna ult himself. The ult not gonna hit anybody from the Braum though, and they're moving forward, and suddenly Rehe, he's trying to get the plays, but the Fiora, can she outduel? She's not gonna do it. Rehe, this is the moment you were talking about, but 3 kills drop in the meantime for low priority. It's one Ezreal versus the world. If he wants to live up to that reputation, him and this Echo are going to have to make a huge dent, because low priority are set to end the game. I don't think Trick can stop this.
Flash.
It's going to be the 2-0 coming in for low priority, and Rehe, he might make it out with his life, but he's not even going to get the chance. Rune Prison locking him down and locking up the win, as Finfin grabbing a couple consolation prizes, but the Nexus is doomed to fall. Finfin may drop as well. He wants the Sivir. He's not going to get it, and low priority are going to close this one out.
Low priority with what was a pretty commanding victory over Trick. Trick seemed to be a little bit all over the shop, a little bit indecisive at times, somewhat back and forth. Rehe definitely stepping up towards the end there. 6-3 was his final score. But it just wasn't enough in the end. He couldn't deal with the overfed Ryze, the overfed Fiora, and in that final fight, it really was that Fiora just keeping him preoccupied to prevent him from having any carry potential.
And it just felt to me like Trick didn't know how to fight from behind, because we have to give them props. I mean, Lissandra coming in and the Echo coming in, they synced up their CC, they hit all these members, but when you're facing a 10k gold lead, when you're basically 2 items down on your opposing mid laner, I mean, you go in, you just don't do enough damage. You don't have enough damage to win a fight.
That Cassadar, I wasn't a massive fan of the build. I understand the Rod of Ages, I get it, but I feel like it's not the best way to build a Lissandra right now. The Abyssal Scepter into Zhonya's, to me, feels like the strongest build. We saw it on Selfie work wonders. You just hit that power spike that much sooner. You feel so much more relevant in fights because you get all that cooldown reduction. You feel kind of like that off tank, and then you have so many options. You can go towards your Death Cap, you can go towards the Voice Tap, all depending on what your team needs. But those 2 items give you everything that your kit needs to succeed.
And it'll be interesting to see how the build path changes. I mean, outside of Rod of Ages, too, it just felt like they were behind from the start.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
they
really
made some bad decisions, and that's all it takes.
That one Rift Herald fight really did swing a lot of momentum in low priority's favor as well. Kassadar trying to fend off 5 pretty much by himself.
Yeah.
Just a little bit indecision from Trick.
And what's crazy is we've seen Rift Herald alone pretty much start snowballs that win games, right? We like in top lane. And this time, not only did Kex get that and then continue to be an insanely dominant Fiora, but they also lost the fight immediately after, or low priority rather won the fight immediately after. So, I mean, we're being, I think, very harsh on Trick, but we also have to praise low priority.
We do.
They didn't hesitate at all. They took that Rift Herald. Someone came in to fight them. They didn't panic. They said, we've still got good health bars. We've still got our cooldowns. We're going to take this one.
Some props to Trick as well. They played the lane swap pretty well, taking that early dragon and still not losing too much off the back of that. The response to the tier 2 turret in the bottom lane was really smart from them. So clearly a team that's willing to adapt on the fly. Just a little bit of work left to go. And given the reputation of low priority so far, coming in as the #1 seed from the Open qualifier, I feel like they're just living up to their reputation. Oh, and ban Rise.
Oh, yeah, definitely ban Rise. But, of course, with our second match of the day wrapped up, we're going to take a quick break, grab a snack, hit the bathroom, do whatever you got to do. We'll be back in 210 seconds. Exactly.